Today we are looking at the last dot point of Core 2, Assessment of Skill and Performance. And we are looking and focusing on the last dash point, which is personal versus prescribed judging criteria. Now, this whole dash point seeks to make the contrast between the personal likes or dislikes of performance compared to a more formal judging, which would be through the use of criteria. So personal, when we think of someone's personal opinion when they might watch a dance or the ballet. And then a prescribed judging criteria is actually when a judge is marking an athlete and scoring an athlete on their performance, such as diving or gymnastics, and they're actually using a set criteria and they can't go off their own thoughts and emotions. They have a set criteria in front of them and they must follow this. Now, in your notes, there are worksheets that link to the Learn To, which is where you need to develop and evaluate an objective and subjective performance measure. There's also help on pdhp.net if you don't understand the task, but the task that we've set you is to watch a video and then answer the grid, which you'll find in your notes. Now, again, what I've done is created a one-page document for this dash point, so you'll need to read through your notes that have already been given to you, but you can use this one-page document for your summary notes, as I've completely summarized the information for you and cut it down. So if we refer to the following sheet, we've got the difference between personal and prescribed criteria. Now, the definition for personal criteria is these are linked to how a judge or a person feels about a performance. An example of this is a crowd watching a performance, and each person in that crowd will have different feelings and expectations about that performance. Personal criteria is often very biased and more suited to the appreciation of performance rather than the actual judgment of performance quality. A sporting example you can use for this is two people will go to watch the ballet. One person comes out absolutely thrilled with the performance because it's what they expected. They thought the dancing, uniforms was fantastic, and they are happy that they've paid the money that they did to watch the performance because it made them feel good and they were happy with what they saw. However, another person might come out of that ballet performance and feel disappointed because it might not have been as good as the previous one they've seen, or it wasn't what they expected and therefore they are disappointed. This isn't being judged on any criteria. This is just based on how that person feels about a certain performance. A lot of this, again, also comes from the crowd. So when a crowd is watching a performance, lots of different people within that crowd will have different feelings and expressions. The sheet that you can see in the middle is an example of a prescribed criteria for gymnastics. So the definition for a prescribed criteria is an established criteria that's actually been created by a sporting body and is used to appraise performance. And as you can see from the gymnastics score sheet in the middle, every judge will have one of these in front of them, and when someone goes to perform, say, a floor routine, they will judge based on this criteria. Now, they might have their own personal feelings about that performance, and some may like it more than others, but they have to use this criteria, and they can't be biased because it's a set criteria and it's set by the sporting body. These usually come in the forms of checklists, as you can see in the middle, or a rating system, such as diving. And the more detailed the judging criteria, the more likely that criteria is likely to be reliable. You can imagine if the sheet in the middle just had a score of 1 to 8, but didn't actually have any of the errors. This is quite a detailed judging sheet, and therefore a judge using this score sheet, it will be very clear why that gymnast has scored the score that they have. Performance, and most performances will have a prescribed criteria to ensure that there's fairness to the athlete and they understand exactly why they have been given that performance score. And this is really important, especially in sports like gymnastics and diving. So the main difference between the two is personal is based on personal feelings and expectations about that performance, and prescribed is using a specific criteria created by the sporting body and comes in the form of a checklist or rating system like the one that you can see in the middle.